So the next form of the quadratic equation is the standard form, and this is the one we see the most. Ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the one we see when we're graphing, factoring, and the one we use the quadratic formula for, but this is the one we see the most. We can find the vertex. It's not as easy as vertex form, but we can. We can find the axis of symmetry because if we have the vertex, we have the axis of symmetry. We can know if the parabola opens up or down, okay, by whether or not A is positive or negative. And we can find the y-intercept for this one fairly easily. Okay, so the axis of symmetry is found by x equals negative b over 2a. And one way that you can memorize this, because you're going to need to, is remember the quadratic formula. I don't know if you ever taught the song. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you know that song, you'll know that this is just the quadratic formula without this section of it. Okay? There's your negative b over 2a. But memorize that. Negative b over 2a, this is how you find your axis of symmetry. Okay, next we find the vertex, and this really looks kind of hairy. But what it's really saying is you find x, you find the axis of symmetry using negative b over 2a, and then you plug it into the equation to get y. That's really what it's saying. And we'll see that in an example. If a is negative, the parabola opens down. I covered this already. It's like a frowny face. If a is positive, the parabola opens up. It's a smiley face. And c is the y-intercept. Okay, so let's look at an example. It's always easiest to see things when you're looking at an example. All right, so we have 3x squared minus 6x plus 1. Label the vertex and axis of symmetry, and of course they want us to graph this. So, to find the axis of symmetry, I have x equals negative b over 2a. Well, a is the coefficient that goes with x squared, b goes with x, and then c is the constant. So negative b, this is a negative 6, okay, because b is negative 6, times over 2 times 3. So this gives me 6 over 6, which is 1. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 1. Now I take this one and I plug it into my original equation to get the y value for my vertex. So 3 times 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 1 is 3 minus 6 plus 1, which is negative 2, right? I think so. Yep, negative 2. Oops, I should do equals negative 2. So my vertex is 1, negative 2. So I go over here and 1 is my axis of symmetry, right? X equals 1. 1, negative 2 is my vertex. So there's 1, negative 2 for my vertex. X equals 1 is my axis of symmetry. And now I can plot points. One thing I can do too, though, is know that my y-intercept is c. If I plug 0 in for x's, those two go away, and that's why I have that there. So my y-intercept is 1. And in my opinion, that's enough to graph it. Okay? All right, so you know what's coming. I want you to try this one. So go ahead and go ahead and pause and then we'll do this one. Okay, so my axis of symmetry, x equals negative b over 2a. B is 2, so this is negative 2 over 2a, a is 1, so it's 2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals -1. So here it is, right here. Then I take this -1 and I plug it back into the equation. So -1 squared plus 2 times -1 minus 1. This is 1 minus 2 minus 1 gives me -2. So my vertex is -1, -2. Okay, so -1, -2. So does it open up or does it open down? Well, it's positive, so it's going to open up. And my y-intercept is -1. So it looks something like this. So -1, -2, and x equals -1. All right, we'll go on to the last one in the next video.